You have been skeptical, Chairman Warren, about TARP's impact on the real economy, meaning has TARP done its job? Has it increased lending for the average American? Has your view changed at all?
No, it hasn't. TARP really has had two parts to it. It was that first part that pulled us back from the abyss that said the government will intervene if necessary in markets and support them, and kept us from crashing over the edge. You know, you really get a thumbs up for that one. But since then, TARP has really not been very effective at the real economy, at restarting lending, at helping ordinary Americans.
Do you think that is because there were not enough constraints put on how the money had to be utilized by the banks? Was that the issue, that it was pushed through so quickly?
Well, you know, it's not just that it was pushed through so quickly. The fact that it went through quickly is why Treasury had lots and lots of discretion. But Treasury could have lent the money out with some strings attached to it. Said, for example, that if you want this money, you have to show us how it is that you're going to use it. Right. But, you know, Treasury really pushed it out the door on a no questions asked basis. And as a result, a lot of financial institutions used it just to build up the capital side of the balance sheet.
Sure. At the same time, Treasury was telling them you have to have stronger capital bases. So they were getting, you know, they were saying have stronger cushions on one end but lend more on the other. So I do see the position of the banks on this. The Congressional Oversight Panel, which you head up, will be asking questions to Vikram Panda, the CEO of Citigroup, later this week. Citi's gotten $45 billion in TARP money, more than $300 billion in guarantees from the government on top of that. What are you going to ask Mr. Pandit?
Well, the questions go in two directions. One of them, the backward-looking questions. It's really to understand how they got the money and the terms on which they got the money. Remember, the first infusion of cash that Citibank got, along with the other large financial institutions, was only to healthy banks. Do you remember? That was what the plan was called, the Healthy Banks Plan. And yet Citibank ended up with another huge infusion of cash within a matter of weeks. And so part of the question is to understand from Treasury what Treasury was doing. Was it really following the policies that it was announcing?
Herb Allison will be there as well.
That's right. Herb Allison from the Treasury will be there. And then the second part is, look, we're a big shareholder of Citi right now. We have a real stake in Citi. And so partly it will be to ask Mr. Pandit about plans going forward. You know, whether or not Citi really is out of the woods, what it means, how Citi plans to navigate from this point forward.
Citi Holding, a lot of questions about that.
That's right. That's right.
Overall, your biggest outline concern, what is it right now about TARP? We've seen a lot of the major banks pay back the TARP funds with interest, but you have concerns still.
Well, we continue. Look, it's our job. That's how you do your job. Our job is to stand on the outside and continue to talk about the program as it unfolds.
Sure.
The notion of infusion of cash into the banks, frankly, we're kind of down to Citi and GMAC to be able to see how those are going to play out. And there's some really serious questions. GMAC, we've got $17 billion invested there, and not entirely clear what the business plan is going forward. You know, it's got that huge subprime mortgage hole in its balance sheet. Plus, it acts a lot like a captive finance company, and yet it's supported by bank deposits. So there's some serious issues there. That's going to be a report that we will put out next week on GMAC. Beyond that, we will be looking again at foreclosures in our April report. Still a serious problem with powerful effects on the economy. In May, we'll be looking at lending volume. So we've got pieces of TARP that we continue to work with.